There's a shadowed corner of country music history where steel guitars give way to splintered propellers, twisted metal, and sudden silence. The tales told there keep even old roadies awake. Freak accidents yanked singers, pickers, and pilots from bright stages, leaving radios to hiss in the dark. Today, we follow 27 abrupt farewells that turned working musicians into forever legends. Buckle up, every impact really happened, and each echo you hear once belonged to a living heartbeat. Patsy Cline had already bent the Nashville skyline around her velvet voice when fate carved a new line through the clouds. On March 3, 1963, she boarded a tiny Piper Comanche after a charity show, humming Sweet Dreams. The engine droned, but a vicious downdraft slammed the craft, shredding its wings and scattering sheet music. Her heart stopped on impact, yet her echo still rides every lonely jukebox. Fans swear they hear her laughing in the wind that carried her away. Lloyd Cowboy Copus, Opry showstopper, sat beside Patsy. He had outlasted poverty and war, but the storm over Tennessee ignored fame. When the Comanche buckled, his guitar case burst, lyric pages drifting down like burnt leaves. Searchers found his wedding ring in a blackberry thicket, still warm. It rests in a museum today, and some visitors insist it trembles whenever his songs play. Towering 6'5" Hawkshaw Hawkins made even tall microphones look nervous. Minutes before boarding, he'd promised his pregnant wife he'd be home in time to paint the nursery. Instead, the crash flung his Stetson into a creek where it drifted like a paper boat. When crews pulled it from the water, the brim was unscathed, yet the man who wore it was gone. His baby boy was born a month later and named after the father who never arrived. Fans say thunderstorms rumble on that child's birthday each year. Gentleman Jim Reeves believed he could outrun trouble if he just flew high enough. On a brooding July day in 1964, he piloted his Beechcraft through gathering clouds, radioing Nashville control with the calm of a lullaby. Lightning crackled, instruments spun, and the plane whirled into cedar trees, carving a scar still visible from above. When searchers reached the wreck, the pocket holding his wife's love letter was intact. She opens that letter only on anniversaries, rescuing his voice from the clouds. Hank Williams's heart always raced faster than the cars he hired, and on New Year's Day, 1953, the blue Cadillac became his final stage. Curled in the back seat, wrapped in an overcoat against Appalachian frost, he slipped into a silent encore somewhere between Knoxville and Oak Hill. The driver thought the legend slept, but when the car stopped, Hank's pulse had faded into the road noise. Endless whispers of painkillers and a pace no mortal could maintain followed. Some swear they've hitched rides with a lone singer thumbing the highway at dawn. Dottie West crashed toward the Opry in a borrowed Pontiac after her own car quit. The driver missed a curve, slamming hard into concrete. Thrown onto the road, she clung to life for days, still apologizing for missing her slot. Nurses heard her murmuring lyrics between breaths. When friends sang "Here Comes My Baby," her lips twitched at the chorus, then stilled. Jack Anglin dressed in black to mourn Patsy but never reached the funeral. Rushing slick back roads, he lost control, slamming into a concrete marker. The clock read 9:17, the exact moment mourners bowed their heads across town. His suit was pressed, boutonniere fresh, yet destiny folded the program shut. Wild violets bloom along the skid grooves, purple like the ribbon he meant to lay beside her casket. David Stringbean Akeman spent decades making the Opry howl with laughter, but the joke ended on a cold night in 1973. Returning from a show, he and his wife stepped into a botched burglary. Shots rang beneath bare bulbs and the lanky banjo wizard collapsed beside the stove. Thieves fled with pocket change, unaware thousands were hidden in mason jars behind a chimney stone. To this day, neighbors hear phantom picking when moonlight hits those jars. Keith Whitley's voice was honey over hardwood, but inside, he fought darker storms. On a bright May morning in 1989, friends found him slumped on the couch, coffee half finished, guitar still in tune. Official reports blamed acute alcohol poisoning, yet the speed of his departure fueled rumors of unseen grief. Every June festival in his honor falls silent at dusk, as if the hills pause, waiting for his return. Even pine trees bend closer, hoping to hear that drawl again. Randy Hughes wore two hats, manager and pilot. On that March evening, he misread weather maps by a hair, trading spreadsheets for storm clouds. When the Comanche went down, his watch stopped at 6:20, the second hand forever mid-tick. The timepiece rests in glass, ticking again only once during an unexplained power surge. Curators swear they smelled avgas and rain in the room that night. Johnny Horton chased epic tales in song and on the highway. After a late show in 1960, he steered north through fog. A drunk driver crossed the line. Metal screamed into metal. Horton, still belted in, whispered a final prayer before slipping away. North to Alaska rocketed up the charts next morning, every radio dial a makeshift tombstone. Some say the collision replayed in static bursts on local AM for weeks. Graham Parsons lived like a comet, bright, brief, fueled by outlaw mystery. In '73, after an OD'd spiral in a Joshua Tree motel, friends smuggled his body into the desert and set the coffin ablaze, honoring a half-serious pact. Rangers found scorched sand and strings at dawn. Desert winds still carry burnt pine and bittersweet promises. His ghostly harmonies reputedly echo at moonrise, tuning the night itself. Buddy Starcher survived the depression with a beat-up guitar and grin, but a porch misstep ended what poverty never could. A fall ruptured vessels, leaving him gasping while autumn leaves drifted past. Legend says the porch still creaks his novelty tune on windy nights. Rust spots on the railing form a treble clef every October. Billy Walker, the tall Texan, met fate on an Alabama interstate in 2006. His van struck a guardrail, rolling and scattering guitars across the median like shattered stars. Passing truckers sometimes spot a ghostly convoy, hazards flashing. Locals leave fresh picks on the shoulder, tiny memorials glinting at dawn. Each disappears by nightfall, snagged perhaps by unseen hands. Tiny Tim, ukulele eccentric, pivoted toward country standards late in life. During a Minneapolis gala, he collapsed mid-chorus, still strumming a C major. The mic caught his whispered apology before he crumpled. Lights dimmed themselves, a malfunction never traced. Fans gathered outside, humming the unresolved chord into winter air. Forever. Farron Young swaggered through honky-tonks with a sharpshooter grin, but offstage debts cornered him. One bleak December morning, he turned a pistol on himself. Doctors kept him alive 2 days, yet whispers of betrayal spread faster than ventilator clicks. His remodeled mansion's foyer sometimes echoes with phantom applause right before sunrise. Lefty Frizzell, the poet who bent notes like wire, died at 47 of a sudden stroke. Friends boxed up diner napkin lyrics and found the final line trailing off, an unfinished yodel. Tourists slip coins into that roadside diner, hoping the line appears on the grease-smudged Formica countertop. Justin Tubb carried a famous surname like a badge and burden. After a cheerful session, abdominal pain sent him home. An artery burst before help arrived. Lyric ideas were scribbled on his hand. Family framed the scrawl. Visitors say the line rearranges itself each year as if Justin keeps editing from beyond. Steel guitar maestro Tom Brumley trusted music to heal any wound, yet medicine failed him. After a routine procedure, sudden bleeding stole him before dawn. Hours later, the pilot light on his favorite amp flicked on, though no voltage flowed, glowing exactly 2 minutes and 23 seconds, the length of his most famous solo. Jim Ed Brown spent decades harmonizing, finally entering the Hall of Fame in June 2015. 1 week later, cancer claimed him. A stagehand found an unused pick on the podium engraved simply, "Now." Luther Perkins, architect of Cash's Boom Chicka, nodded off with a lit cigarette. Flames crept across the rug. Smoke claimed him before firefighters arrived. Guitarists visiting the rebuilt house say certain chords make the porch light flicker. They've replaced the bulb countless times, yet it persists. When news broke that Joe Diffie had succumbed to rapid viral complications, fans were stunned. Country radio turned Pickup Man into a round-the-clock vigil. His family later found a notebook of unreleased songs. Each page ended abruptly, mirroring his departure. Jenks Tex Carmen strummed a Hawaiian guitar with mountain twang and shunned hospitals. He passed on a porch rocker, face tilted toward misty hills. The rocker still moves at dusk, and recorders capture lap steel glides that vanish on playback, leaving only silence and goosebumps. Bobby Austin co-wrote Apartment Number 9. During a charity event, he collapsed from a sudden stroke. Medics wheeled him past an unmarked dressing room. Later, they noticed the door bore faded digits 9. Stagehands feel cold drafts drifting from that doorway, even in midsummer. Tommy Duncan powered Bob Wills's Playboys. After a triumphant encore, he collapsed. Dancers heard one extra chord as time stuttered. Midnight playback of the reel reveals a ghost harmony no equalizer can remove. Some grooves are carved by more than magnets. Don Rich ripped Telecaster leads so sharp they cut daylight. Riding his motorcycle toward the coast in '74, a skid pitched him into a roadside sign. Seasoned road crew later saw phantom taillights weaving ahead on foggy stretches, always vanishing at the crash site. Johnny Paycheck embodied honky-tonk rebellion until failing lungs muted him in 2003. A janitor heard a muffled, "Take this job and shove it," though no radio played. Elevator doors refused to close until the unseen chorus ended. Nurses say the scent of stale whiskey drifts through Station 4 at midnight, lingering just long enough to raise a bittersweet grin. Plane wrecks, flipped buses, porch falls, and stray sparks carved holes in the tapestry of country music. Through those gaps, we glimpse how fragile a song can be when breath stops mid-note. So when a steel solo tingles your spine, remember the watch that froze, the amp that flickered, the porch that rocks without wind. Keep humming. As long as their tunes ride shotgun in our hearts, these legends never truly crash into silence. Thunderstorms may carry faint mandolin runs if you listen closely. Yet these 27 endings still leave loose strings fluttering across the American songbook, haunting highways, river bends, and backstage mirrors. What exactly remains after splintered spruce and broken bones? Sometimes it's a child with the same crooked grin holding a battered guitar and asking strangers to remember. Sometimes it's a scratchy acetate labeled Take 2, discovered in a thrift store crate, waiting 60 years to spin one more time. Stage crews whisper about a pattern. When a performer falls to freak fate, some other songwriter miles away pens their breakthrough hook that very night, as though talent refuses to vanish but simply reroutes through new hands. Radio historians swear two distant stations once broadcast the same forgotten B-side at the same moment on the anniversary of Patsy's crash. Instruments join the seance. The shattered Gibson Patsy favored was glued, but the high E snaps within minutes every time a collector tries to play it, a metallic sob that stops the room. Hawkshaw's silver harmonica survived the wreck without a dent. Blow into it now and the draw notes wobble like passing freight trains. Technology behaves oddly, too. A modern plug-in modeled Luther Perkins's scorched Telecaster and found an unexplained sub-bass throb 43 Hz below the root. Engineers deleted it, but the phantom frequency returned at every render, pulsing like a muted kick drum. They finally left it alone, admitting some artifacts insist on staying. Venues remember. The Opry Circle sometimes feels icy beneath a boot heel when a newcomer nails a phrase once owned by a fallen legend. One rookie fiddler felt a steady tug backward before missing a cue, a nudge that saved the arrangement from train-wrecking live on air. She thanked the unseen stagehand, earning confused glances. And the machines that carried those dreams? Mechanics rebuilt the tour bus that killed Dottie West, yet on its first test run, the radio locked itself on a faint station, playing Country Sunshine. After 10 miles, the tuner freed itself, leaving the cabin silent. Drivers swear a single ghost dent still flashes under noon light. Asphalt also remembers. Truckers crest the Tennessee Ridge where the Comanche fell and briefly lose GPS. Screens flicker, then reboot with an old green grid. They joke it's Patsy playing games, but tap the dash in respect. Farther west, riders slow at the curve where Don Rich skidded, reporting the sudden smell of fresh-cut hay. Fans keep the aftershow alive. Someone nails a 3-chord tribute outside the Ryman each March. By dusk, the phone case is stuffed with pics and ticket stubs. College kids in Amarillo host a Lost Licks open mic limited to songs by artists who died weirdly. Some covers flop, some soar. The crowd cheers every attempt. Families wrestle with inheritances more mysterious than property deeds. Graham Parsons' daughter once received a Desert Ranger's letter containing a tiny, ash-coated brass button from her father's last suit. Whenever the jewelry box opens, a juniper scent drifts out, carrying her to the Joshua Tree Flats she's never walked. Safety culture echoes these tragedies. Cathedral Heights stages now ground every cable twice after Barbara Weldon's electrocution. Pilots ferrying baby bands memorize Reeves's final Mayday and refuse to chase schedules through thunderheads. Roadies tape neon signs on lighting truss reading, "Check it twice. String bean paid the price." A dark joke hiding genuine reverence. Endings can spawn beginnings. Endless playlists titled "Gone Too Wild" or "Twisted Trail Ends" funnel royalties to estates, funding grandchildren's piano lessons. From disaster, new chords bloom. So if you're alone tonight, headphones glowing blue, play their songs loud, sing the chorus off-key, and tap the wheel like Keith Whitley marking time. Because every freak accident is the loudest reminder that tomorrow isn't promised, but a melody right now absolutely is. Archivists, meanwhile, labor in windowless rooms, digitizing brittle reels at dawn. They hunch over tape machines, listening for ghost syllables hiding between hiss peaks. When they catch one, they log the timestamp with trembling hands, because saving even half a syllable feels like restoring air to collapsed lungs. Volunteers sew stage costumes, match faded rhinestones, and polish belt buckles until their own reflections blur. They treat every artifact as a time machine, praying some kid stumbling onto an old playlist will hear a crackling note and feel the itch to start picking. Tragedy, reframed, becomes mentorship across generations. The medical mysteries linger. Johnny Horton's pulse registered faintly 10 seconds after paramedics labeled him gone, a glitch that still makes one retired EMT triple-check readings during thunderstorms. Tiny Tim's final E chord resonated 3 seconds longer than auditorium physics predicts. Sound engineers ran simulations, blamed architecture, reran them, and shrugged. Skeptics call such reports folklore, yet rational pride melts when you stand beside a handmade pine cross at dusk, hearing wind whistle through bullet holes in an old road sign, sounding exactly like clarinet vibrato. Your skin prickles, logic stalls, and grief begins to sing harmony with wonder. Cautionary wisdom travels in bus bunk whispers. Old tour managers warn rookies, never joke about weather before liftoff, never ignore a loose strap button, never trust untested brakes after midnight. They're not superstitious, they insist, just thorough. But every rule is a bead on the rosary of these 27 names. In hidden corners, record producers keep a drawer marked "in case," filled with half-finished demos by departed clients. They guard the tapes like relics, fearful that premature release would feel like cashing a check written in sorrow. Yet on certain anniversaries, they play one track after hours, dimming the lights and letting the voice fill the studio again, if only for 3 minutes. Picture a future researcher centuries ahead, scrolling neural archives. They pause on a scratchy 60-cycle hum from Luther Perkins's amp and feel their heart lurch. Compelled, they pick up an instrument not yet invented, chasing that phantom vibration. In that instant, 27 sparks reignite, lighting a new verse in humanity's endless ballad. Motion, risk, and sound, those are the only promises country music ever offered. Keep both hands on the wheel, eyes scanning the storm front, one courageous chord ready to ring. If tomorrow obeys, play two. Let their echoes ride shotgun beside you, humming hope through every unpredictable mile of open road. Tonight. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.